My name is Lauren Milligan. My company is Resume Day. I've been a career coach and resume writer since 2001. So going on 21, 22-ish years or so. Um, and in that time, I have worked with thousands of job seekers across the country, not just here in Chicagoland. And so the reason I tell you this is to let you know I've helped figure out and come up with solutions to just about every single job search concern in just about every single employment market that you can imagine. Obviously, the pandemic has, thrown us some really weird things, but that's okay because things are, at least as far as employment, things are starting to normalize. A lot more interviews are completely being done over Zoom. I have clients who are they're not working remotely. They'll be going into their employer every day, but 100% of the interviews were over Zoom. So yeah, there are still some new things going on, but for the most part, if you've got a question on your job search, as we have time after this, we don't have to keep your questions to the presentation topic of letters. If there are any other job search questions in our allotted time, I'm more than happy to take on anything with you guys. But so here we are talking about letters, and there are letters is an important, whether they're post interview, whatever, the communication that you create between you and your potential employers is really, really important. And if you keep this entire portfolio of letters at the ready, you're just going to distinguish yourself from other candidates. And in this day and age, that's a huge priority. That should be a concern of every single candidate, is how do I distinguish myself from everybody else? Because as things go remote, or as we're the global economy and everything, the talent pool just keeps getting larger and larger and larger. Younger people are getting 2-3 jobs. People aren't retiring as early as they were. So this talent pool that you're all looking at is not shrinking anytime soon. So distinguishing yourself, separating yourself from the pack is a really important priority, should be a really important priority. So the Resume Day philosophy. Resume Day philosophy is this: the candidate who is able to create an entire presentation that is better than their competition, that is more unique and is more focused on the employer's needs, generally gets the most face time. Okay, and it's face time that you're trying to create between you and your potential employers. Now, what I'm talking about here is, what kind of networking are you doing? What information are you sending out with your resume? What are you putting on your LinkedIn profile? How's your elevator pitch? How's your follow-up after the interview? It's all part of this entire candidacy, that starts before you even are thinking about the interview stage. Okay, so that's what I mean by the entire presentation. And FaceTime, what I mean by FaceTime is just, when you're getting in front of people, what type of impression are you making? What type of impression are you leaving? What are you telling people? What are people remembering about you after the conversation is over? All of this is important. All of this has to be thought out and become part of your strategy. All right. So, and then the second part of my philosophy is no wimps allowed. What I mean by that is that the best candidates know to learn about all the tools that are out there for job seekers. Whether it's LinkedIn, whether it's networking, whether it's going to trade associations, whether it's following your potential employers on social media, things like that. Whatever you can do, use what's available to you to give yourself a little bit of a leg up, to get yourself in front of your potential employers in a positive way that other candidates aren't doing or haven't thought about or aren't brave enough to do. That's what I'm talking about. No wimps allowed. Using everything at your disposal wisely and smartly to give yourself that much more face time. No wimps allowed. So we're going to be talking about 5 with a bonus, 5 particular job search letters that you want to have in your portfolio. And they are a networking letter, a cold call letter, a cover letter, a thank you letter, and then this last one is least popular but still important, a no hire letter. So I'll go through what each of these are, what you want to think about when you're constructing them, and I will show examples. And then again, for people who joined us a little after I made this announcement, I will send you copies of all of these letters, so you don't have to like be taking notes or screen grabs or pictures or anything, unless you want to, of course. But I will happily send you out one document that has all of these attached to them. So you can just kind of sit back and absorb all this information. Oh, and then the bonus one too. I just threw that on at the last minute. All right, so this first one is a networking letter. In a networking letter, this is where you are either you're either creating a new network, developing, asking someone to be part of your network, or you're reaching out to someone who you already have a relationship with. Okay, so this is me, and I don't know if anyone knows who this is, but this is Wayne Messmer. And he is an amazing singer of the national anthem, has a phenomenal story. The reason I picked this picture for my networking letter, I'm an instructor at College of DuPage. I actually run a lot of career related courses through College of DuPage, and I was working one of their events, and it turns out that Wayne Messmer, again, phenomenal guy, he was the keynote speaker. So I reached out to him beforehand saying, hey, I'm going to be at this event. I'm extremely familiar with you. I would love to meet you, talk just for a little bit. But I reached out to him, and he responded very favorably. We met up a couple minutes before, and we've remained friends ever since then. My husband is a professional musician. He's a professional musician. So there was already some synchronicity there. But it just, just because I decided, you know what, I'm just going to send this guy a message on LinkedIn. He responded, and now we're friends and chat every once in a while. And I've helped him with his LinkedIn, and but it's just getting that bravery, being brave enough. And I know a lot of people look at LinkedIn like, oh my gosh, okay, I'm on it and I don't want to do anything else. Developing your network, reaching out to people is such an important part of being on LinkedIn, to develop that network. Okay, so in a networking letter, this can be a LinkedIn message, this can be an email, this can be a letter like we're talking about here, more of a formal type of communication. However you want to do it is fine, but networking is crucial. Now, if you already have a relationship with this person, let's say they were a coworker, maybe there's someone that you know from the neighborhood, or maybe there's someone you know from a volunteer activity or hobby, or your church or something like that. One of the first things that you want to do in this letter is, if necessary, remind them of what the relationship is, or just recognize the relationship. And then you're going to give them an update about what's going on with you, a call to action. All of these letters that we're talking about require a call to action. And a call to action is really just kind of a nudging the recipient, whether it's kind of subliminally or overtly, you're asking them to take some kind of action on your behalf. And then what I consider to be really, truly the most important part of this letter is returning the favor. Okay, so let's put all this together. Recognizing the relationship, updating the recipient on what you've been doing, putting out a call to action, and then offering to return the favor. Okay, so in this circumstance, a networking letter, it looks a little long. I'm not going to read the entire thing. I'll kind of skim. And again, you're going to get a copy of this anyway. But in this situation, I've chosen a relationship where between 2 school parents. Okay, so they probably have talked while dropping off their kids. Maybe they've served on some committees together. you know, but that's the nature of this relationship. So as one school parent to another, so right off the bat, that's the reminder of who this person is. I hope that it's appropriate to call upon you for some help. And then here's the update. I'll be conducting a job search in the next few weeks. I know you're highly respected in the legal field and may know of a company who's looking for a financial expert. So there is why the recipient is specifically getting this letter. I wanted to take a moment to familiarize you with my background, and my resume is included for your review. I think that's important when you're sending any kind of communication out, whether it's networking, cold call, cover letter, whatever. Your resume has to be attached. And again, this doesn't have to be a formal letter. This can be an email. It can be a LinkedIn message. Maybe it's a private message on Facebook, or what's that neighbor one? Nextdoor, I think, right? I'm not on it, but I think that's what it is. And then, of course, if you are doing a social media contact, it doesn't have to be as formal as this if you guys already have been chatting back and forth. But now here's a little bit of what you want. Take just one paragraph to give a quick, hey, here are my top skills. Here's what I'm looking to use. So I've experienced in asset management, logistics analysis, et cetera, et cetera. All right. And then the third paragraph. So even if this looks long to you, just keep in mind, we're just talking about 3 paragraphs here. That's not horrible. It's not a complete, great American novel or anything like that. It's 3 paragraphs. That's doable, right? So as I reach out to those in my network, I'm also looking for pearls of wisdom that I might have overlooked. So now this is where you're asking for help wrapped in a call to action. If you can think of any way I can enhance what I'm already doing in my search, I'd appreciate anything you can share with me. Now, my Zoom little dashboard thing here is blocking this, but most importantly, if you're ever in a spot, let's see, now I really need to move this because there we go, I can move it. I'm always afraid that things will Zoom will stop or something. Most importantly, if you're ever in a spot where I can help you out, I welcome the opportunity to return the favor and hope I'm the first person you call. To me, this is such an important sentence in this letter and cannot be overlooked, cannot be left out in any way. It doesn't matter who the person is to you. Maybe they're, what you may see as 18 levels above me. You know what? There still could be a time when they may think of you and need something from you. So remember, this is not just a one handout, give me, help me, I'm in need. This is more of a, here's how you can help me, but you know what? Down the road, I'll be able to help you. And I sincerely hope I'm the first one you reach out to. Whatever that may be. That makes it more of a two-way street communication rather than just a plea for help. And I think that that's really important because I think that one of the reasons that people skip these steps, whether it's networking or sending out this, networking in general or sending out something so specific, is because it makes them feel vulnerable. It makes them feel like they're in a position of almost asking for charity. And that's not the case here. I'm going to tell you something. The people who are up on the highest rungs of the ladder, they do this. They network. They reach out to the people that they know to ask for help and offer to return it when they're able. This is how people ascend in their careers. It's, no one is just in a bubble doing it on their own. Okay, so think about that. That's a really important reason why you need to, number one, develop a network, and then number two, be comfortable utilizing your network when you need to. And then, of course, number three, just as important as the first two, being that person who offers and provides help when someone in your network needs it. Okay, so if you become that go-to person in your network, you've done a really good job because that's exactly where you want to be. That's just how networks are supposed to work. Let's see. Oh, let's see, I clicked off. There we go. All right, so the next one is a cold call letter. Now, a cold call letter, very specifically, it's you have a company that you'd like to make a connection with. You don't necessarily see that they're hiring, but you know enough about the company, you love the company, you'd love to work with this company, or just start a conversation that may down the road result in an interview. This is where with my clients, you really, I get my clients to develop their target market list. And what that means is they're going to pick out 10, 15 employers. And now it can be so much more, with as much remote work going on, but easily pick out 10 or 15 employers in your local area or remotely. If you're looking to work remotely, pick out and create a list of employers that you want to work for. And it's not just a matter of, okay, this is some company name that's within 5 miles of me, so I'm putting them on my list. No, there has to be a reason that they're on your list. You have to research these companies beforehand and figure out who they are, who they hire, who they work with, what they do, where are they in their industry? Are they one of the leaders? Are they a newer company? Whatever it is, just really get to know the company's profile and figure out what is it about this company that draws you to them and would make you want to be their next employee. That is the mindset that you need as you write your cold call letter. Okay, so the cold call letter specifically, you're going to talk about what you love about the company. And again, you need to do research if you're going to come up with that. You are going to write a paragraph that um, puts you, that details how you would fit into that company's culture based on your skills. Okay. And then again, a call to action. Now, before I go on to the example here, I want to tell you a really, really good way to research companies. Obviously, you want to go and check out their website. That's a no-brainer. But a little kind of, excuse me, kind of a different way or unexpected way to research a company is go to Google. Don't just Google the company though, because if it's a big company like IBM or Motorola, it's really just going to be information that was created by the company. It's basically going to be their website over and over and over and over again. So what you're going to do is go to Google News. You can get to Google News by when you have a Google page pulled up, there's going to be little boxes. I think there's like 3x3 little squares that you can click on, and it brings down all of the sub pages within Google. So it could, shopping, Gmail, translation. I'm trying to think of what else I go to, but one of them is news. Okay. So if you click on that one, it's a subpage in Google that brings up all the news of the world and everything. And then in the search box, you type in that company's name. Okay. So, well, we'll use Resume Day. All right. And I haven't looked myself up in Google News lately. So I don't know what's there. Yikes. But so if, let's say that you wanted to work for Resume Day, you go to Google News and then type in Resume Day. What this does is this brings up the results that pop up, or anytime that search criteria was mentioned in a news or media, or generally something that was generated outside of the company. Okay. So for Resume Day, you may find a post, a press release or a little story about some of the presentations I do for libraries, things like that. So then you can say, oh, okay, well, I want to work with Resume Day. What did I learn about them? Well, I learned that the owner does a lot of outside presentations for job search groups and libraries and church groups and corporations and colleges. And okay, well, that's kind of interesting. That's something I can put in my letter. Doing this and writing something like that shows that you go above and beyond other candidates or other people interested in the company, and that you really got to learn about the company and you connected with something in the company. All right. So based on that, let's show the example. Again, this one looks a little long, but I think it's like a font size 24 or something, which would not be in your letter, just so everyone can see it here. But let's break this down into its components. Now, again, a cold call letter, this person is not responding to a job ad. They just know this company, 1 Kings Lane. And by the way, this is an actual cold call letter that I wrote for a client, took out a lot of the identifying and swapped out some of the identifying information. But the reason I'm showing you this one is because this client now currently works for 1 Kings Lane. One King Lane, I think it is. It's a fashion brand. So let's see. So I'm contacting you today to express sincere interest in current or future marketing positions. Okay, so right there stating the intent, but knowing that they're not responding to a particular job ad. The reason I'm specifically reaching out to you is my enthusiasm for your people first attitude. People first, in quotes like that, was in a lot of places on their website and a lot of the things that I read. So I knew that that would resonate, and it would show that the candidate, that the job seeker is actually speaking their language in the way that they use it. And the innovative online strategies. This was really interesting. One King Lane really was an early adopter of using their website and their web presence in really interesting ways. So in this paragraph, I'll say this, I deleted some of it for length, but we specified they were doing online trunk sales, online pop-up shows, some really cool things that other companies weren't doing at that time. Um, so I went into a little bit more detail. Now here's the what One King Lane would get from this person: more than 10 years of merchandising experience, luxury read-ups, retail startup brands, basically just showing the depth of her experience, online and traditional marketing, inventive, smart, unanticipated ideas. All of this just really spoke to what they're doing. And so we created a really good comparison between the company and my client. And then, of course, my resume is attached for your review. Here's the ask. An opportunity to discuss my capabilities further would be deeply appreciated. And so, of course, all the contact information was on there and everything. It worked. It worked. This was sent out, I think we sent this out probably 7 years ago, maybe. I don't know, 6 or 7 years ago, something like that. And she's still working for this company. So that was a big win, a big win. All right, so now let's say that you got an interview. All right, so let's say that you got an interview, or I'm sorry, you're applying. So there's an actual job ad out there specifically that you want to apply for. So you're sending out a cover letter with your resume. On average, and this is from a lot of different polls of employers, on average, only about 16% of employers actually state that they read cover letters. But we don't know which 16%. So I say always include a cover letter. But here's the thing. I think that so few employers read cover letters because so few candidates write a great cover letter. I think it really is, there's so many of the dear sir or madam, enclosed you will find my resume. You will see from my resume that I am and then just basically, take out exact language from your resume and put it in the cover letter. So if your cover letter is completely redundant to your resume, there's no reason why they need to read it, right? So first of all, never, ever, ever address a cover letter to dear sir or madam or dear sirs. There's just not, it just kind of says that you're a little out of touch. You want to address your cover letter with, I usually recommend dear hiring committee, dear staffing specialist at, name of company. Obviously, if you can actually find a name, that's even better, but that's not always possible. Completely understand that. And a lot of times it's not going to just one person. And so, which is why I like to say dear hiring committee or dear staffing specialist, but either way, dear hiring committee or dear staffing specialist at name of company. Okay. So very simple cover letter, what you know and love about the company, how your skills match specifically what they're looking for, and a call to action. 3 simple concepts for a cover letter. This one's a little longer, but it is a cover letter. So, and here's the thing. This is, let's see, is this a little, Oh, this is there we go. Oh, this was another one. This was another one with that same customer, because Tory Burch is a fashion brand. So Uh, okay, so first paragraph. I've been quite focused on your company's success as I find my core values emulate your business strategies. Emphatically support local and responsible resources, that you vigorously capitalize on web opportunities and social media outreach. And again, we put just a little, there was another sentence or two of very, very specific examples of what the company had done in the way of social media marketing. And then the next paragraph, this again, all you're doing is comparing you and your skills to exactly what they're looking for. Okay, so then we outlined in this next paragraph her very, very strong marketing experience. She was also, earlier in her career, she was an engineer. So we brought in the analytical, the combination of the creative versus the analytical, which was outlined in the resume, obviously. And then let me move this little dashboard thing. Third paragraph. I would, and I love this sentence and I use it a lot in my cover letters. I would be delighted to make my schedule available to you to discuss this opportunity. I'd be happy to make my schedule available to you for an interview. However you want to say that. I just think it's a nice and kind of generous ask for the interview. I know that asking for the interview can be a little clunky. So I always just say, I'd be delighted to make my schedule available to you. There you go. Easy breezy. But really, with just 3 paragraphs, you can put together a really good cover letter. And I have, over the years, the 20 plus years I've been doing this, I've talked to a surprising number of people who say, actually, I'm really, really happy with my resume. I just can't put together a good cover letter. I don't know what to say. So here you go. Again, 3 easy paragraphs, what you know and love about the company, how you match what the company is looking for, and then ask for the interview. That's it. Doesn't have to go into a lot more detail than that. Oh, keep forgetting every time I move this dashboard, I have to reposition. Okay, so let's say that you've had the interview. Now you know after the interview, you have to send a follow-up, a thank you note for the interview. And that's true. Interestingly, there was a survey conducted a number of years ago about following up after the interview. And the company, I believe it was SHRM, Society of Human Resource Managers. I believe it was either an employment group or an HR group. I don't know if the numbers are still relevant, which is why I don't specifically address the survey here or cite it. But the question, they interviewed thousands of people and found that women actually do a much better job of following up after the interview by sending a thank you note or thank you email. And I thought that was interesting. So that's one thing that cannot be dropped, is the follow-up after the interview. Still consider that part of the interview. Okay, you can't drop off at that point. So a thank you letter. Easy components here. You want to thank the employer for their time. You want to reframe or clarify an interview point just as a memory trigger of the conversation. And then you want to discuss next steps. Okay, so there we go. Okay, so here is a thank you note to be sent after the interview. Obviously, thank you so much for your time while interviewing me for the accountant's position. And I like this, and I usually do put this in my thank you notes for clients. Now that I've had a chance to talk with you, I'm even more enthusiastic about the position. I'm even more enthused than I was when I first walked into the interview. Somehow express that. One of the biggest complaints that interviewers have about their candidates is that after the interview, they're not quite sure if the candidate is interested in the position. And I think that most candidates are interested in the position. I think it's just a case of nerves. Interviewing is, it can dust up your anxiety, right? And then towards the end, you're thinking, oh my gosh, it's almost over. And that's when I think a lot of people just kind of make a quick exit. Thank you, hope to hear from you. And then they're out in the parking lot saying, oh my God, I can breathe again, it's over. Don't do that, because the interview has not ended. it has not ended at the end of the interview. The interview doesn't really end until you know whether or not you're dealing with an offer. Okay. So you want to express that you are enthused and interested in this position through this thank you letter. Now, here's the next paragraph. One thing that really sticks out is the company's goal to expand to the international market. Now, the reason, and this is an actual thank you note that I wrote for one of my clients. So take a look here. We didn't get to go into a lot of details, but when I consulted at another company, 4 of my engagements were with companies who were doing this. Now, I want to kind of stress here, there's a reason why we didn't go into a lot of details. This wasn't a big part of what this candidate would be doing had they been hired at this position. That's why I was comfortable saying we didn't get to go into a lot of details. If this had been a main part of what the job was, you should go into a lot of details. But this was something that was just kind of a side conversation and something really interesting that the interviewer shared with the candidate. That's why I decided to bring that up and say, hey, get this. If you hire me, I'm not only as skilled as I let you know in the interview, but you get a bonus. You get extra skills because I've done this other thing too. So that's why I picked up on that point to talk about in the cover letter, talking about kind of the bonus stuff that goes above and beyond what the job description is. I can bring more skills to you that you didn't really even know that you should ask for. Okay. Let's see. And then the last paragraph, asking for next steps. I sincerely hope to advance to the next round of your interviews. And again, we'll be happy to make my schedule available to you for another interview. I truly enjoyed our time together. There you go. 3 simple paragraphs, but it's all positive and it's all reaffirming that this candidate is not only deeply interested in the position, but is going to be able to hit the ground running with some additional skills that the employer didn't really even know they needed at that point. But look at that, a great bonus. Okay. And now the last letter, I know we kind of went through these fast, so I'm more than happy. I'm, want to answer a lot of detailed questions here, but the last one in your arsenal is a no hire letter. Now, this is the least fun letter to send out, but it's when you get that, boy, we really enjoyed interviewing you. Unfortunately, we've gone with a candidate who better matches the qualifications that we're looking for. We wish you all the best in your future endeavors. Something kind of generic like that. When that happens, the opportunity has not completely ended. I cannot tell you how many employers have to kind of regroup if they decide that, number one, maybe it was a bad hire. Maybe after a week or two, they realize, gosh, this person isn't exactly who we thought they were in the interview. Now we have to start the process from scratch. Or maybe it's where the candidate accepted the offer, but little that did the employer know that they were juggling a couple of other opportunities. And after they accepted, a better opportunity popped up. Whatever it is, there can be a lot of reasons. Or maybe they realized, what, this is a really big position. We should have more than one person on it. Okay. Or maybe they thought, what, this is a really great candidate, not right for this one, but we possibly should keep her in mind for this other department or for this project that's going to open up in 4 months or whatever it is. So there could be a lot of reasons why you want to keep that communication going and going in a positive way. Okay, so the no hire letter, this is going to thank the employer for their time. It's going to acknowledge that they had a difficult choice to make. You're going to compliment the person or the company, and then of course, keep the door open for future opportunities. All right, and that letter would look like this. I sincerely appreciate the opportunity to interview for the human resources position a few weeks ago. Again, remember, it's been some time because they've gone through all interviews, picked a candidate, and then let people know let the non-winning candidates know. I understand that you've chosen another candidate. And while I have to admit that I'm disappointed, and it's okay because that, uh, you don't, you want saying that while I have to admit I'm disappointed, that still shows, boy, I was really enthused about this. I'm grateful to have made it to your short list of candidates. It was a pleasure to meet you and see, here's the flattery. It was a pleasure to meet you and see how well your team works together. This is the type of environment that most companies strive to be. And here's keeping the opportunity open. I sincerely hope that sometime in the future we get an opportunity to work together. Please keep me in mind if another opportunity comes along for which you think I would be a good fit. I wish you and your team great success. Thank you again for all your efforts on my behalf. Okay, this is extremely positive. There's nothing, no, bitterness, no chip on the shoulder whatsoever. Really professional. And again, the majority of candidates don't think to include this in the process. They just get that, thanks but no thanks email or phone call or whatever, say, oh, okay, moving on. Doing this, it keeps the door open in a really positive and professional manner. Let's see. Okay, and now a little bit of a bonus, and this goes back to after the interview. You want to send a thank you note, okay? But you can also send a thank you email. And a lot of times I'll have people say, well, I only sent an email, or, well, I only sent a handwritten note. Well, that's fine, but you know what? You can send both and treat each one of them slightly different because they are different if you have them serve a different purpose. So that thank you letter is going to be exactly what we said, thanking them, reiterating something that happened in the interview, asking about next steps. But the email that you send, and this, by the way, should be sent on the same day as the interview. And I consider this, the email, not to be so much of a thank you note, but more of a peer-to-peer sharing of information. Okay. When you do this, you kind of subliminally put yourself in as the recipient's peer. Okay. So here's what that might look like. And I don't have an example of it. But I can include, I'll include an example of what I send out to everyone here. But this is going to be more of a, hi, Sharon, I just wanted to thank you so much for interviewing me this afternoon for the account management position. I really enjoyed getting to know you. I'm really enthused about this opportunity, and very much hope to make it to the next round of your interviews. The reason I'm reaching out to you right now is because I just saw, something like, I just saw a really interesting article, or a really interesting article just crossed my desk, and thought you might enjoy it. It talks directly to the supply chain issues that you and I were talking about during the interview, or it directly talks about opening business units in other markets, or it talks about how Zoom has affected today's workplace. Just what we were talking about this afternoon. You may have already seen it, but if not, I thought you would enjoy it. Here's a link. Enjoy. Hope to hear from you soon. And that's it. So you're just putting a little emphasis on the interview. It's almost like the big reason you weren't going to send this email, except for the fact that this amazing article crossed your desk and you wanted to get it out because, oh, what do you know? What a coincidence. It deals directly with what we were talking about. But here's the thing. It's not a coincidence whatsoever, because you're going to go home and you're going to find this article. You're going to find this survey or interview or whatever it is. And where are you going to find it? Maybe Google News. Google News, go there and then type in supply chain issues, and it'll start just like any other news site. It's going to start with most recent and then go back and back and back. You can look on LinkedIn, your LinkedIn homepage, not your profile, but your homepage where other people post tons of information, and you can do a search specifically for supply chain management or remote working issues, or whatever it is that the point is of the article that you want to find is going to be. Okay, so you go home and you search for something, a really good article, well written, a lot of points, not just the first thing that you see, um, but find something that's worthy of conversation and worthy of sharing. And that becomes the whole point of this. But again, when you do this, there's a little bit of subliminal action going on. This is a peer-to-peer information sharing, and the other person will kind of accept it as such. Oh gosh, okay, well, this, yeah, she's on my level here. She sent me this really interesting article, and yeah, it's a really good one. The recipient may write back and say, oh yeah, I'll make sure to review this tomorrow. Thanks so much, I appreciate it. Or yeah, you know what, I just read the article, I think it's pretty interesting, thanks a lot. Whatever it is, here's the thing: you are just creating one more touch point. Okay, you're creating one more positive and professional touch point that keeps you top of mind above the other candidates, which is again creating more face time. Okay, that's why it's effective. Even if they don't read the article, even if they don't click on it and read it, you still made that touch point. And that's the important action for you to do. Okay. Um, I do this all the time. If I'm talking with a journalist or just a new connection and just want one more thing that's like, you know what, I just want to give a little bit more oomph to this conversation, I'm going to go out and find some kind of article, some kind of information and say, hey, by the way, this just came across my desk, made me think of you. Hope you enjoy it. Have a great day. Just something like that. You're not asking for a lot of commitment. You're not asking for feedback. You're not, you know, trying to extend the conversation. You're just giving them something to think about, and in doing that, they're going to think about you. Okay, so a little interesting, and I don't want to call it underhanded. What do I want to say? It's strategic. It's just another strategic touch point that you create that the large majority of other candidates absolutely will not do. All right, so those are the letters. Now, I'm more than happy to talk more in depth about them and answer any of your questions, but here's my ask for you. Here's my call to action. If you would like a copy of all the letters that I presented to you, and again, I'll, come up with something really quick for that bonus email, the information sharing. But here's what I ask of you: just create a networking letter, because now hopefully you are all in my network and I would love to stay in touch with you. So just create a little letter for me telling me what you enjoyed or maybe what you didn't enjoy about this presentation. But on receipt of your your call to action, I will be more than happy to send this entire list of letters out to you in your inbox. And I don't do anything else with your email, by the way. I don't put it on any kind of newsletter list or anything like that. It stops after I send you your information, I promise. Here, and in this screen here, Lauren@resumeday.com is my email address. And here, I don't know if you guys can, let me get this out of the way. There you go. There is all my contact information, my phone number, my email, my LinkedIn. If you go to linkedin.com/in/Lauren Milligan, you can connect with me on email. And there again is Gemma, my little adorable dog.